Yo, what is good, Bleach community? Today we'll be going over the patch, breaking down some of the changes, and explaining which characters really benefited from this patch and which have not. Now, going over the first character from this patch, Bankai Ichigo has received a major buff. When he now goes into his white reverse state, he's able to stay in this state for longer. He does way more damage now, and he's way faster. As you can see, his back steps, side steps, everything comes out pretty fast. His damage got increased, but not only that, they also made it so that when he does his special flash attack, it comes out faster. He's able to cancel his signature skill with a dash, right? So now on wake up, let's say you do heavy, 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 and you go sig, you can then cancel the sig, right, into a dash. So heavy, 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 sig, cancel, and then you can go into some pressure. You can go into like a grab after that. So those are just some cool changes that they gave Bankai Ichigo. Unfortunately, they did nerf this character. It takes him longer for him to gain his awakening meter. So his awakening, his sublimation, and his spirit drive, just overall, they've nerfed that. He doesn't gain that meter as fast as some other characters do. But in return, they gave him some really nice buffs. And one of the better buffs that he's also received is in Bankai form. So when you pop your white reverse in Bankai, your SP1 changes to the Getsuga, but now you can combo Getsugas over and over. So they nerfed Bankai Ichigo and made Bankai Ichigo stronger. So not gonna lie, this Ichigo was kind of like okay, but I'm glad that they actually gave him some love and made him like way faster, way stronger, but with some caveats that, you know, they failed. Maybe he might be too strong, so they have to nerf how fast he gains fighting spirit. But you know, I'm a fan of these changes. In the patch notes, they also kind of came up with a like a summary of why they may have changed certain characters. So for Bankai Ichigo, it says, taking advantage of the strengthened state during reverse, Kurosaki Ichigo has excellent offense and defense, but unlike other characters, he needs to activate reverse beforehand, then win by playing around again. In this adjustment, we have increased the chances of switching to the offensive by extending the duration of reverse and making the techniques used and playing around easier to use. In addition, the first spiritual pressure technique during awakening, Getsuga Tensho, can be incorporated into combos only during reverse to further increase damage. So you can aim for a powerful combo with just one attack. So it seems like they just wanted to overall buff his ability to basically 5-stock people in this form. And honestly, it's really good. I mean, this Getsuga loop does a lot of damage, and with the increased damage that he does in white reverse, he's going to be a real problem. When you see this character white reverse, you definitely don't want to let him touch you at all. Now, going on to our second character, we have another Ichigo. Bankai Ichigo received literally nothing but nerfs, as he should have. I hated this character, not gonna lie, y'all. But the first nerf is his flash attack. So his flash attack used to be pretty safe in base form. Now you cannot use this move. It is unpunishable. I mean, it's punishable. You cannot do anything about it. His a special flash attack used to be safe in base, but now I can't block. I can't do anything that I want after that. And when you're like leveled up, it's now safe, but now it's not as safe as it used to be. So you're able to block when you're in your SP2 like install state, but it's just not as safe. You don't have as many plus frames as you used to. They also hit his Getsuga. So I believe with this character, you used to be able to do something like this and then like backstep or something, but that does not work. You will be able to get hit out of it now. So that's not something that you can actually just do now while you're hitting someone on block. They also increased the damage modification for this. So when you actually do hit a combo with this, the damage is going to start scaling a lot. You know, you have to actually play smart with this character, right? Like, it's not something that you'll be able to just do the combo for a super long time now, because only one loop works and it doesn't do as much damage. One of the other things they also hit is when you use this super, it says it increased the gauge case for each active action. So I think basically what that's saying is when you're doing this, you don't have as many tries to just throw the Getsuga out, right? It's gonna run out soon. So they basically increased how fast that SP meter drops. And the other nerf that he received, right, guys? Because there's nothing but nerf that this guy received. He was pretty ridiculous. His fighting spirit, it now takes longer to get to awakening. So there's no, so there's going to be situations where you're going to be popping white reverses, and it's still going to take you a while to get through that reawakening. They also reduced his recovery when he is awakened. So let me go to the reawakening. And they increased the guard recovery time when he's doing his special flash attack. So that right there is super unsafe. That's not something that you want to do anymore. And honestly, this character deserved it. Like he was way too good. I think they gutted him too much, but we'll see how the buffs and nerfs will start to fare when some of these characters start to go against one another online. The adjustment intention, right? They said Kurosaki Ichigo Bankai has a high level of ability with a large number of easy to use techniques, combo damage, and reversal capabilities through awakening. But the inhibition of actions by his unique technique, Getsuga Tensho, was particularly strong. Also, if he acquires spiritual power, his spiritual pressure technique too, Getsuga Matai, can connect high combo damage to soul destroying techniques, allowing him to go on the offensive from any position. In this adjustment, we have reduced the strength of the techniques used and his overall playstyle, making it more difficult to force him to take powerful actions all the time. So essentially, they didn't want him to be able to just loop things the way that he was looping it. They didn't like the fact that his combo essentially was quick Getsugas, and that's all it was, and he was getting a lot of mileage from that. I do like these changes. I do think this character was a little too strong, and you know, so far this patch is an absolute W. Let's go on to the next character. All right, so moving on to our third Ichigo. They also only nerfed this Ichigo. Now, I didn't think Dangai was really good, in my opinion. He was kind of like in the middle tier somewhere. But they essentially just made it so that when he uses his special flash attack, when he uses his quicks, and when he uses his spiritual pressure 1, he just does less damage in general. Their reasoning is Ichigo Kurosaki Final Getsuga Tensho is a character who can decide the game without being bound by the number of souls of his opponent, and becomes more powerful towards the end of the game. In this adjustment, we have suppressed his performance at the start of the game, making it more difficult for him to gain an advantageous position from the beginning. So it looks like they just wanted to nerf his early, because this character at level 3 is really strong. That is his whole gimmick, but I don't think he needed to be nerfed. But we can see how, you know, things start to shape up and see if Dangai is actually as good as they think. All right, so going on to our next character, Uryuu Ishida. So they made a couple changes to his base form. You used to be able to pop SP1 and then go into reverse gauge and continue a combo. I actually didn't know about that. That was a thing you used to be able to do, which is kind of crazy. They took that out, so that's gone. They also took out his counter. So his counter used to be able to counter hit, and then you will be able to pop a reverse and continue the combo as well. You cannot do that anymore. They took that out. The other thing they took out in base is when you do the dash attack, it used to be, I believe you could act faster. From what I'm seeing from the patch notes, it says increased recovery time. So I'm not sure if he can act faster or he's slower. But from what I'm seeing, I mean, it looks as if it's the same. So I'm not really too sure on that one. But he did get some buffs in Awakening. So Uryuu was a character who struggled because some characters were able to just outrange him. I mean, he's a zoner, but he was getting outranged. They actually buffed him. His flash attack, right? His heavy attack now goes further. It used to kind of cut off around this kind of range. Now from about this range, he's able to hit that. It's kind of crazy. Like, this character got hugely buffed with just this alone. Now you could do stuff like heavy, light from this distance, and you're just more safe in general. So just buffing his general heavy range actually just made this character way better. And they also touched on some things in Reawakening. So in Reawakening, they reduced his recovery time. So when he uses his special flash attack, it comes out faster and he's able to act out faster from it. They also increased the range of his SP1. I believe that's going to hit from full screen. I'm not sure if it was hitting before, but it says in the patch notes it has been adjusted, so it may have been increased. His SP2 also does more damage now, which is his counter. So when they get hit by that, oh my lord, you see that damage? Insane. And the last thing they touched is Mortor. I'm honestly not too sure what they're referring to with Mortor. It says increased recovery time, so that could possibly be his 6th skill, but I'm honestly not too sure. The explanation they gave for these buffs is, although the controls are a little tricky, Ishida Uryuu excellent reach allows him to keep opponents at bay, but he has some restrictions on how he can move around, making it difficult to control the battle situations for long periods of time. With this adjustment, the reach of his flash attack when awakened has been extended, making it easier to reach opponents and make the most of his strength. When reawakening, the stiffness time of his special flash attack has been reduced, making it easier to maintain a distance and fight. So they really wanted to just give him more tools at this range. I mean, this character is a zoner at the end of the day. He should be able to win against the whole cast if he's at this distance. So I'm glad that they gave him these changes, and he honestly really needed it. So moving on to the next character is Chad. So Chad actually really received a lot of shifts with his gameplay. They increased the damage recovery time for the final hit of his light chain. So I believe that means that when this final hit hits, it leaves the enemy in more of a like hit stun state, so that you can kind of like choose to kind of just do whatever you want after that. So if you want to go for like a grab or go back in for like a light or something like that, you know, they made it a bit easier to do something like that. They also increased the duration of his dash quick. So I think what they mean by that is just the active frames of this. It's active even longer. So that's actually pretty cool. This is one of his best tools, one of his best get in tools that also starts combos and has super armor. So that's really good for Chad. The width of his special flash attack, right? Well, his flash attack, it has been shortened. So before, Chad, like, he used to be able to just kind of catch like side steps at times. The heavy was really good just for using it like that, or even just throwing it out. It seems as if they've also shortened the reach and also just made it harder to catch side steps with his flash attack. His special flash attack, they buffed it, so now he's able to cancel it with his SP1 if he chooses to do so. So this is good if, like, let's say you're trying to get in close on someone and they're blocking. You do that, you cancel into SP1, and now you're right on top of them. You can go for some type of grab mix, or, you know, light or something, you know, switch anything up, any kind of Oki situation. That's really what you can go for there by canceling your special flash into your SP1. For his charging, so they really nerfed his charging. It takes longer for him to get his 6th skill, but and there really is no buff to it too. They actually fully nerfed this ability. It still does stupid amount of damage if you were to hit it raw, but if you hit this in a combo now, it does even less damage. So not only did they make it, you know, a bit harder to even get, but it doesn't do as much as it used to. As you can see, the damage is really kind of like reduced. I don't know why they did that. I don't really agree with that, but I can see why it felt a bit polarizing to fight this character, because all he had to do was really get 2 combos off at times, and he would be in a great situation. They also buffed his SP2. So if I set Yoruichi to hit me after I hit her, I believe they just increased the active times for him to actually hit this. So if I do this, yeah, oh my god, that damage is insane. But it looks as if they just increased the active frames for that. There are times where you pop this super and it doesn't go through the way that you want it to, right? Or just a lot of BS would happen during that super. So I'm glad that they actually buffed it. They also buffed the damage multiplier on his SP1. So he just does more damage, he's faster, which is really what it should have been this whole time. But one of the biggest changes I'll say Chad has received is that when you grab, you can now continue combos. So Chad, that's really what they wanted to do. They wanted to basically give him the ability to combo off of grabs, but nerf a lot of his other strong aspects. And I don't blame them. I can see why they wanted to go that route. And it shifts his character from being more of a, okay, I have 6 skill, let me get a combo, or let me get a lucky interaction and get a crazy big hit in. So I am a fan of this. One thing that sucks though is that you cannot combo your lights into your SP1 anymore. That does not work. The only thing that works is if you do the special flash into SP1 and if you do the 6 skill. So I mean, you take some and you lose some. It is what it is. In evolution though, they did give him a buff. So they made it so that his quicks, they're a bit easier to hit when he is in awakened form. They also made it easier for his flash attacks to be hit in awakened form. So Chad is now one of those characters where you want to get to awakening as fast as possible because your flash attack is better and your quick attacks are better, right? They have more range and they do more damage. And if you hit with special flash attack in Awakening, it leaves them up in the air for longer. So now you're able to go for really some kind of real setup. You know what I mean? Before they would pop up pretty quickly. Now, you know, you hit that special flash attack, especially if you go special and then you do something like that, right? You're able to do that. You actually might even be able to delay the super and get a combo off. So that's something that you have to go into practice and really check out. But I'm excited for these Chad changes. Their adjustment intention for Chad is Chad used his high durability to charge his special skills, and when the opportunity arises, deals huge damage to aim for a comeback. But he is restricted in his movements, and while he perseveres, he lacks offensive power. With this adjustment, he is now more capable of showing his true worth, more now than ever before, by making his quick attacks and flash attacks easier to use. On the other hand, charge time required for his special skills and the damage other than the root have been reduced. So you will need to be more careful about how you use them than before. When awakened, if you delay and cancel a special flash attack when it hits, your special skill will hit at the root. So although it is difficult, you can get a big return. So I think that was them kind of saying that if you time the special flash attack correctly, you can get a combo off of it. So let me try and do something like this, right? Look at that. And then you can go into, yeah, oh my God, Chad is about to be crazy. He now gets a lot of mileage off of using special flash. Special flash was not really worth using, I'm gonna be honest. Like, it was super unsafe on block. You only wanted to hit it on tip range because it wasn't safe, and you couldn't really do anything with it. So I'm glad that they made him more viable in Awakening. And honestly, these devs know what they're doing. The time is here, the time is now. They buff Kisuke Urahara, man. Ain't gonna lie. Yo, this Kisuke buff is crazy. So I'm gonna be real with y'all. This is really a shift, but it's really more of a buff. What they did to Kisuke is they made it so that when you are in your enhanced state, the enhanced states last way longer, but your Benihime doesn't do as much damage. So their explanation was that Benihime was doing way too much damage in combos, and they wanted to tone that down. So what they did is they just reduced the damage that it does, but they wanted to increase the SP2 duration. This is more of a buff for the simple reason that Kisuke benefits a lot from his SP2. I mean, his dash speed gets increased, his damage. It's really one of those supers where I pop it and then like I get comboed or something, and now I'm like, damn, I just wasted SP2. Look how long it's lasting. It's actually around for a pretty long time, and during that whole time you could be building up more meter so that you can pop SP2 again. And honestly, the damage that you get from using the SP2, it looks like Benihime honestly still does a lot of damage. So I'm gonna be real with you, they nerfed him, but this is way more of a buff than it is a nerf. So W for Kisuke, definitely W for Kisuke. This is their adjustment intention. So Kisuke Urahara is a versatile character who is easy to fight with, regardless of distance or opponent, although he has his own quirks. However, the combo damage generated by his various spiritual pressure techniques was too high. In this adjustment, the combo correction for spiritual pressure technique 1, Kazari Kurahime, has been lowered, making it more difficult to increase the combo damage. The duration of the effect of spiritual pressure technique, Are You Ready, has been extended, making it easier to demonstrate his strength in combat. So again, they just wanted to kind of add to his strengths and kind of reduce where he was a little too strong at. But to be real with you, it looks like the Benihime blast still does crazy amounts of damage. So this is definitely a W patch for Kisuke. So moving on to the next character, it's Yoruichi. Now Yoruichi has gotten hugely buffed, only buffs. That's what she's received, and that's what she deserves. Gonna be real with y'all. The first buff that she received is when Yoruichi is hitting you with her super, right? You cannot reverse action anymore. So I'm gonna have this Yoruichi hit me with the super. I'm gonna try and I cannot pop the reverse. I was trying to press reverse, you cannot pop it. So if you're in a situation where Yoruichi is hitting you with her special SP1 or SP2, you cannot reverse it. So just be careful when you're getting hit by that. One of the second changes is her special flash attack. So now in Awakening, right? Her special flash attack, you can now combo off of it, which is insane. I'm not gonna lie, I was playing ranked last night and I was going crazy. You can now do something like this, right? You cancel into Ankin and now you can continue a combo. The reason why this is crazy is because the general game plan for Yoruichi is to condition your opponent to block. If you get them to block a lot and you try to go in for a grab, people have been teching the grabs from what I'm seeing. But now what you can do is now mix in this. Before, this used to be something that you had to orange reverse, right? And it would suck because it's like, okay, now I have to use a whole reverse to continue this combo, but now you don't have to do that, and this is really cool. Now Yoruichi's combo potential is honestly out of this world. It's way better than what it used to be, and now you can't even orange reverse, not orange, you can't even blue reverse out of being hit by the SP1 or SP2. So definitely W patch for Yoruichi. Here's the adjustment intention. So Shionen Yoruichi maintains the tempo by using her speed to her advantage with her rush ability. But due to her low spiritual power, she is prone to allowing a comeback when her opponent gets the chance. And this is true. There's many times where I'm playing with her and I'm going crazy, but because of the comeback mechanics of this game, you know, I end up losing, right? With this adjustment, she can now transition from a special flash attack to a combo when she activates Shunshin. So while she remains vulnerable to attacks, she can now more easily exert her strengths with a wider variety of attacks. Not gonna lie, Tam's off, they're snapping with this buff. This buff is actually insane. It seems to be that they're really trying to keep the character's identity, it's like safe and sound with how it works. And honestly, I never saw this buff coming. Like when I talked about buffing Yoruichi, this isn't what I intended, but this is cooking, man. I ain't gonna lie. Being able to combo off of this, and people don't understand, like that's really good. Like it's gonna be very, very, very good. So going on to the next character, Renji has received a nerf. This character used to be able to just do special flash attack and be plus on block. Now, if you try to attack after you're doing the special flash attack, you are not safe. But the buff that they did give him is if he pops his SP2 and he does this, he is now faster. So in order for you to get those plus frames back, you have to go into your in-store super, which I kind of like it. Special flash attack did feel a bit oppressive at times. It did feel as if, you know, it was a bit hard to sidestep, even though you could sidestep it. It was just weird timing, and just weird timing in general on how to counter this character. They also increased the invulnerability frames on his SP1. So I guess there was times when you would use SP1 and you would still either get snuffed out or whatever the case may be. Now they just made it so that this is even more safe to use when you feel like you are in danger. And this also works in your weakened state. So SP1 during base form and weakened state has been improved with increased invulnerability. And they also touched his 6th skill. So now his 6th skill, he used to be able to throw one out and then recover, like the recovery was a little bit slower. Now he's able to throw 1 or 2 out and then recover pretty fast. If you do all 3, the recovery is absolutely abysmal. I'm holding block and now I'm able to block. So you don't ever really want to do this on block anymore, and you really can't do 6th skill into special flash attack anymore because you're not plus. So Renji definitely lost a lot of his his neutral tools by losing, you know, some of the properties of his 6th skill and his special flash attack. But I guess being able to get some of those things back when he pops his SP2 is okay. But overall, this character was pretty strong. So, you know, if they felt as though he needed to be nerfed, I can see why. He was a bit oppressive at times. The adjustment intention for Renji is Renji keeps applying pressure by using different actions depending on the distance. But the special flash attack at the start of the phase and the ability to suppress using his unique skill were a little too strong. In this adjustment, these 2 actions have been adjusted, making it more difficult to continue to turn from the position as before. When using the spiritual pressure technique 2, Soul Vow, the frame distance of the special fast attack is strengthened, so it can be used in the same way as before. So basically what I just explained, you want to SP2 and then put on that pressure. When you don't have your SP2, then you kind of gotta, you know, play like every other character with playing around with your lights and, you know, playing at a distance with your 6th skill. But I like the changes to Renji. Our next character is Rukia. So Rukia's buffs are pretty cool. She's able to combo now after doing her special flash attack. You could either go into your lights or your heavies by just pressing it right after her special flash, so that's pretty cool. They did make it so that if you just throw the special flash attack, it isn't safe. Like, you can't block after that. So if you are gonna throw this out, just make sure you always end with lights or heavy into lights to make it safe. They also reduced the combo modifier for this, so now you just can't do this and it's not gonna do a lot of damage. Like, it's gonna do decent amount of damage, but it's not gonna be insane. They just wanted to reduce the damage now that it can be comboed into. It also says here that they made it so that her SP1 can't counter hit. I'm not sure why that would be important. Maybe because she was able to do combos. I know she was able to like dash up and do some kind of like cool stuff in her awakened form, but I'm not really sure how that affects her Shikai. But Rukia has changed a lot when it comes to her in her awakened form. So in awakening, when she charges her unique skill, she's now able to cancel into special flash attack. So the cool thing about that is when you do this into special flash attack, you can now continue the combo because special flash attack goes into your lights and heavies. So that's really cool. They increased the damage recovery time. So I believe if you just do this straight, you can't recover as fast on block. So when she hits the charge version, that means that Yoruichi is going to be there for a while so that you can do whatever you want. But when this hits on guard, she's actually more safe than ever. So sorry about that. I had those mixed up. The combo modifier for her SP1 has been adjusted so that it does less damage. So this is her backstep into the ice. They really wanted to just hit Rukia's damage now that she's able to combo better with things like special flash attack and you know, her SP2. They made it so that you can cancel the SP1 on hit, so you can dash forward a bit more easily. There's times where like you have to flash step in order to get close enough to your opponent, but they really wanted to make it so that Rukia's combo tools are way better. So she's able to instantly dash after hitting her SP1. And her SP2, it says the slow duration that affects the opponent when a third stage occurs has been increased. So I'm not really too sure what that means. I didn't know that this even slows. I didn't really play her like that, but apparently the slow effect duration, it has been increased somewhat. So that's pretty cool. The recovery time on hit has been increased for the third stage only. So I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I gotta go into practice with Rukia because I really don't understand some of the things that have been changed for her. I'm just reading off patch notes to you at this point for Rukia, but I can give you her adjustment intention. So Tamsoft basically made this write-up saying, although Kuchiki Rukia has short reach, she can fight reliably by using different techniques depending on the distance, but she relies heavily on spiritual pressure techniques to show off her strengths, which made her start up slower. With this adjustment, we have strengthened her mid-range play by making it easier to string together combos. Her first spiritual pressure technique after awakening, First Dance Tsukishiro, is an invincible technique, but can also be followed with follow-up attack, which puts a lot of pressure on her, so we have made it a bit risky. It has become harder to deal damage with a single technique, but by using her second spiritual pressure technique, Next Dance Byakuya, it is easier to increase damage more than ever before. So it sounds as if they made her SP1 more risky to use, because when you do hit it, you're able to dash, but when it doesn't hit, I think you're just a sitting duck. So now Rukias have to be a bit more careful when throwing out their SP1s, but to make up for that, they basically increase the damage of SP2. So, you know, in theory, this sounds like a really cool buff. You know, I'm excited to actually learn Rukia now. Right, guys, the day has come. We have gotten a buff for Hisagi, man. Yo, and I'm being real with y'all too. I was playing ranked ever since it dropped last night. Yo, the amount of Hisagis that I've seen go crazy, insane. This character is actually going to be a sleeper pick now. So let me start getting into some of the things that have changed. Hisagi now gains fear meter whenever he uses any super. He gains 1 meter for using his SP1 and he gains 2 meter for using his SP2. The reason why this is important is because this character was solely dependent on taking Kenpaku or getting his Kenpaku taken for him to gain fear. You could also get it from you and the enemy from awakening, but it was super inconsistent. There was no way for you to gain fear on your own other than trying to either, you know, unalive yourself or try to beat the opponent, which really isn't too consistent. So it's pretty cool that he's able to raise this meter on his own. As you can see at the bottom left, it's going up every time I use my super. And when I get to a certain level, it's going to make all these supers and my attacks just do way more damage, make me a way better character. And honestly, super hyped that they did this to Hisagi. The other thing that they changed in his SP2, he might have been able, I'm not sure because I was never able to do this from what I remember, but he was able to use SP2 and then cancel into a reverse gauge. So, you know, he can't do that anymore, but I've seen that you are able to follow up that combo by dashing forward and hitting with your heavy in Shikai state. So that's pretty cool that they gave him that. They also buffed his 6th skill. So his 6th skill I'm not gonna lie, like 6 skill was only worth using whenever you got your fear meter up to like 15 or higher. Now it looks as if it's a bit more enticing to use. They increased the range of it, and when you're playing with Shikai Hisagi, you put yourself in a situation where you want to be at that like mid-range, right? So what I've seen Hisagis do, especially from last night from playing ranked, is they'll do the heavy chain into light and then throw out 6 skill right after, right? So something like this, and then throw this out. That's a typical thing you would do because you knew people were going to come in on you, but look at the range on it. Like, they really went crazy and buffed Tenren. Honestly, love the changes. Here is the adjustment intention. Hisagi Shuhei is a slow starter whose true value comes from the effects of fear, but there were many situations where the opponent would choose not to soul destroying techniques, allowing him to gain fear and set up the situation. With this adjustment, it is now possible to actively gain fear, albeit by small amounts, with spiritual pressure techniques making it easier for Hisagi to demonstrate his strengths even when soul destroying state is maintained. So basically, this change allows him to kind of get some of that agency back with his character. He's able to gain these stacks of fear without really relying on the opponent and the opponent playing around his mechanics. So W patch, W buff for Hisagi, let's go. So going on to the next character, Rangiku. So Rangiku, they have nerfed her 6 skill. So her 6 skill has way more end lag on it. I'm trying to block as soon as I throw it out, and I can't block until probably like 2 seconds after. So that's pretty terrible. Rangiku used to be able to do lights into fireball and then follow up right after. She wasn't plus, but it was a cool kind of like mixing tool because I would do lights into fireball and then backstep. But now from what I'm seeing, you can still backstep it. Oh, okay. Well, there you go, guys. You can still backstep the fireball. I wonder if that's just on hit. So let me just double check that real quick before I give you guys any wrong information. So lights. Okay, so it looks as if you can still backstep it. If I set Yoruichi to attack me, let me see. Can I backstep? Did I put it on damage? I meant to put it on guard. Okay, so if you do lights into Sig, can I backstep? Oh, she's trying to attack. Okay, maybe just. Okay, so okay, guys. Okay, there we go. Okay, so Rangiku still can cook. She can still cook in base form. It's just that when you're throwing out the fireball in neutral, it isn't as safe as it used to be. But on block, you can still throw it out and backstep after. So that's pretty cool. But they did nerf it, so just be wary when you're using that move because it is not as safe as it used to be. Her special flash attack also got nerfed, so they made it so that it's even more unsafe to use when someone is blocking it. Obviously, if you hit this move, you can combo into your quicks or your heavies, but just be careful by throwing out your special flash attack because they did nerf this move. It is even more unsafe on block. But really, where they cooked with her is they buffed her awakened. So ain't gonna lie, Rangiku was a kind of weird character because some people felt she was stronger in base, but now there's really no question about it. What they've done to this character is insane. Rangiku is about to be one of the better characters in the game, and I'm gonna explain why. So now her 6 skill is when she puts out the Hinako, right? But now Hinako will last out longer whenever she uses the hold version and the charged version as well, right? So now it's out longer, you know, and it's even bigger. As you can see, you know, it's following Yoruichi, but also let me show you this. I wish I had like a side-by-side, but Rangiku's Hinako area is even bigger. Before it was pretty small, they could honestly sidestep out of it, but now it's bigger and it chases faster. So before it didn't move that fast, it moved really slow. It moved about the walk speed of Rangiku. Now it moves about kind of about the dash speed or a little bit slower than that. But that's actually really good because now you can throw this out and really like dash it on your opponent, you know, and they also increase the guard damage of, you know, all of her Hinako moves. So W buff for Rangiku. Another thing that they changed is her SP2. So now her SP2, yeah, it leaves out a Hinako field, but now the Hinako field also does more guard damage and it does more damage. So whenever SP2 is out, you just get a flat damage increase. So Rangiku, guys, I'm telling y'all, like, if y'all never really tried Rangiku, really try her out. See how you guys like her, because they buffed the crap out of this character. They even buffed the slow duration effect. Whenever you're standing in Hinako, there is a small slowing effect that you get because of it, and they buffed that as well. So let me switch to Yoruichi. Well, Yoruichi kind of feels like a cheat code because she's already fast, but Yoruichi's sidestep is usually a bit faster than that. And now within Hinako, she was moving a little bit slower. That's just going to help you kind of catch up to her, like catch up to any opponent that's actually in the SP2. But yeah, just W buffs all around. So the adjustment intention for Rangiku. After awakening, Matsumoto Rangiku is a character who maintains an advantage by placing Ash and restricting the opponent's action. But the situations in which she can place Ash are limited, making it easy for her to be in a suffocating situation for a long time. In this adjustment, we have adjusted her unique skill, Ash Cat Deployment, and her spiritual pressure skill to Cat Rondo to improve Ash continuity and ease of use. On the other hand, the opening skill Suppressive Power was too high, so we have increased the stiffness. So essentially, they wanted to buff her in Awakening and nerf her in base, and honestly, it makes sense. You know, in this game, you want to get to Awakening as fast as possible. And with Rangiku, it did feel, well, why do I even want to, you know, awaken? You know, my 6th skill is so good. Now she actually feels like a very good character. So, you know, W patch. So going on to our next character, Kira, they didn't really do too much to him. It's kind of a shift. So they nerfed his heavy. So his heavy is just way more unsafe when he's just throwing it out. So it's easier to punish him. They also made some adjustments to his special flash. So when you get a counter hit on special flash, right? Let me try to get it off. You are able to combo into your SP1 now, which is pretty cool. And the Wabisuke effect lasts longer now. So they increased the debuff duration for the Wabisuke effect, and you're able to actually combo on a counter hit with his special flash attack. So that's pretty cool. They have also made it so that his unique skill will always proc even when they're blocking. So if I say Yoruichi to block and I use the unique skill, it'll go on block. I noticed this yesterday when I was facing Akira. I was like, oh, that actually works now. So that was pretty cool. But that's one change that they did. They also made it so that there's no damage scaling on this. Like they reduced it says the minimum guaranteed damage has been eliminated. So I'm reading that as they took away scaling, maybe. I'm not really too sure. I would need Kira main to kind of confirm that for me, probably in the comments, please. But it says minimum guaranteed damage for the unique skill short press has been eliminated. So the way I'm reading that is that they basically took the scaling off, or maybe they even made it scale more from maybe how I'm reading it now. But yeah, but other than that, that was Kira's changes. Oh, his grab. He is able to combo after his grab now. Before, I'm pretty sure when he grabbed, he had to use his 6th skill to pull you back in, or just use the 6th skill to get the unique attack off. But now he's able to combo after. So that's actually a pretty cool buff for Kira. And Kira's adjustment intention is Kira Izuru can increase his Wabisuke count with attacks and finish off debuffs from spiritual pressure techniques. But there were limited times when he could effectively use Wabisuke count. With this adjustment, we also made it easier to increase the Wabisuke count while extending the duration of the effect, making it easier to aim for the soul destroying technique. In addition, his unique skill, Hado number 11, Soul Raiden, reduces the amount of guard damage more than other actions, making it easy to slowly corner opponents in mid-range battles. So that's actually pretty cool. So I didn't really realize that, but now because this is really like a multi-hitting and it's supposed to be doing a lot of guard damage, Kira now can really threaten at that mid-range, you know? I mean, you can easily sidestep this, but this definitely makes him a better character, especially now that he can combo into his SP1 from his special flash attack, and the Wabisuke debuff lasts longer. So W patch. So going on to our next character is Ikkaku. So Ikkaku actually just got straight up nerfed. They made it so that his special flash attack has him not jumping back so far. So before, he used to jump back a little bit further. They also reduced the invincibility frames he has on the special flash attack. So now you have to work a little bit harder with Ikkaku. Before, you were able to just really throw this out and keep your opponent kind of like in this like mix, his vortex mix. But now he has to work a little bit harder instead of just really throwing this out. It is a little bit unsafe when throwing it out against certain characters who will be able to snuff him out and not really care about him jumping back at this distance. There are some characters who heavies can actually reach this jump back distance that he's reaching. So honestly, Ikkaku was really good. I can see why they felt like he was a bit oppressive, because when he gets into Awakening, he is honestly a big problem. And speaking of his Awakening, they did nerf his Awakening. So what they touched in his Awakening is his dragon state. So now it'll take longer for him to build that dragon meter at the bottom. They really just want to make it so that he can't reach his six piece Kenpaku faster than other characters can. Because honestly, I'm gonna be real with you, Ikkaku didn't really have a downside. Like, he wanted to get into the mix and fight and build that meter up. Anyway, that was his game plan. So it really wasn't a downside for him having the 6-piece mechanic be dependent on the dragon gauge. So now that they made it a little bit harder to build that up, I could definitely see this character not being as good, but still being pretty solid. The adjustment intention here is Madarame Ikkaku has the ability to maintain an advantage in his playstyle with a variety of options. And although it takes time, he has the explosive power when awakened to decide the match in one go. But the special flash attack restricts the opponent's actions too much. In this adjustment, we have adjusted the strength of his playstyle while increasing the total amount of the Dragon Crest gauge when awakened. So it will take more effort to decide the match more than before. So like I said, they really just wanted to stop him from getting that max Dragon gauge, because that's really what enables the 6-piece. You know, if you make that take longer, then hey, he's gonna suffer, to be honest. But W patch indeed. So going on to the next character, it's Yamamoto. So a lot of the stuff has changed to this character. Honestly, it's a lot of shifts in how he wants to play. But what patch notes is saying, I'm honestly a bit confused on, because a lot of the stuff that they're saying doesn't work or has been changed still works. He still can do one light into grab, and it beats out like a lot of people. I mean, it's beating out Yoruichi, so it's gonna beat out every other character in the game. They did change his special flash attack, so right, he cannot combo into his special flash attack anymore. So going on to the next character is Yamamoto. So they did a lot of changes to this character. They did a couple shifts, to be honest. Like he basically, so just to get it started off, right? Apparently he's not as fast with his normals, but from what I'm seeing, jab into grab is still beating out like a lot of opponents. I mean, if it's beating out Yoruichi, then it's gonna beat out everybody else in the game. So one jab into grab still works. From what I'm reading in patch notes, that's actually not supposed to be working. Another change is when Yamamoto grabs you, his heat meter goes down now. So that wasn't the case before. I guess that's just another cool way of reducing it. They also made it so that when he uses his special flash attack, he can combo into it. So if I grab and I do a special flash attack, I can go right into my lights. The problem is now is that you can't do special flash attack at the end of your combo strings anymore. So I can do light, and special flash is not coming out. So in order for you to combo special flash, you have to start off with it and then get the combo off. Honestly, I don't know how much better that is gonna be compared to how it was before. Before, being able to use your lights and then special flash made it so that Yamamoto was kind of hard to deal with when he was close up on you. But now this makes it so that if you do get hit by Yama, he's able to start a combo. But just be wary, the special flash attack does not combo when you're in base. So you only unlock this ability to combo after special flash once you're awakened. So just, you got to be on the lookout for that. They also touched on his 6 skill. So his 6 skill, before, if the enemy was blocking it, you wasn't able to throw out the second one. So that's the first buff that they gave him. They also adjusted the hitbox on it. So the reach is extended. Before, you wasn't able to kind of, well, you could honestly hit from that distance, but sometimes only the tip of it would hit. Now it looks like it hits fully from that distance. So W buff for Yama. They also reduced the amount of flame gauge that goes up from you using that skill. Before, from 0, from before when your flame gauge was at 0, 4 of these would get you to heat, right? But if you use 4 now, it still gets you to heat. So I don't know what they're talking about. Apparently they reduced it. Maybe they made it so that it's, instead of it adding like 25%, it's adding 24. So I don't know in what situation that's going to be really helpful, but hey, you know, that's a change that they gave him. Speaking of the Hellfire gauge, that was just kind of like killing my life right there. Another buff that they gave Yama is if he hits you with a Keycon move, it will now make the Hellfire gauge go away. And this also works if you are hit with a Keycon move. So they'll be in situations where Yama, like, let's say you're getting hit, right? And the Keycon move hits you, it kills you. But what ends up happening is that you're still losing health, right? You're still losing health because of the Keycon move, right? Now, speaking about the Hellfire gauge, when your Hellfire gauge is at max or whatever it is, right? And let's say you just got hit with a Keycon move, your health will continue to go down even though you just got your full bar back. One of the changes that they gave Yama is when he hits an opponent with his Keycon move, or if they hit him with a Keycon move, the Hellfire gauge goes down. So now you have another way of reducing that gauge. There have been times where, let's say, like, let's say I don't have 100 meter in order for me to use a super, right? And I really want this Hellfire gauge to go down. If I just choose to take the Keycon move there, it's honestly going to save me from having to deal with losing all of that health in my Hellfire. So I just like that they added another way for him to also reduce that that negative aspect of his kit. They also touched on his Spiritual Pressure 1 technique. So that's the kind of like the Flame Tornado that he does. They made it so that it's safe on block, so that if I set Yoruichi to block it and then to attack me right after, let's say I do this and I try to block, well, that's the charge version. But if I use the regular version and I try to block, I'll be able to block. So that's pretty cool. Let me see if it's plus though. It's not plus, so it's just safe on block. So that's a nice little change that they gave him. Overall, I like the changes that they gave to Yama. Big fan of this character. They definitely kind of cooked with him, you know, pun intended. I like what they did with the 6th skill, now that he can throw both out, even if the first one is blocked or missed. And they gave him another way to really get rid of that heat. Now, him being able to combo off a special flash attack, that's pretty crazy. But he did lose his ability to kind of keep you locked in a fight with him. You know, you used to be able to do light into special flash. Now you can't. So Yama is a bit less oppressive, but now you have to be wary of him dashing in on you. Let's go over the adjustment intention. Yamamoto Genryusa Shigekune has an overwhelming firepower in exchange for various sacrifices. Was a character who would return to fighting even after touching the opponent, leading to difficult situations. In this adjustment, the recovery rate of the heat gauge has been increased, making it easier to use powerful attacks once you can touch the opponent. In addition, the Hellfire state is now released when you are hit or you are hit by a Keycon move, so the risk is reduced compared to before, making it easier to aim for high damage using resources. So that's actually a good point to be made. There's times where you don't want to use an ability because you're scared you're gonna go into heat, right? But if you can make it so that you go into a combo mid Hellfire gauge, you don't have to care about the downsides of going into this gauge. Now you can kind of leverage your health for like a stronger version of Yama, right? So honestly, I like the changes, and once again, W pat. All right, so the next character is Soi Fon. This character received a shift, so they made it so that her Ankens actually do some respectable damage and awakening, but they nerfed it so that it's easier to punish her when she's charging up her 6th skill. So if you're gonna charge your 6th skill with Soi Fon, you want to really have a lot of distance now, or do it when you know that you're really safe, because it is a bit easier to snuff her out from charging her 6th skill now. They also made it so that her special flash attack, when she's jumping in and she's doing this, they made it so that the damage recovery time when following up with a unique skill is reduced. So when you jump in and you do this, you'll be fine. You're able to continue the combo. But when you jump in and you do this and then you try to go back into a combo, it'll be easily interrupted, especially on block. That's what I'm talking about. When this character is attacking you on block and you're using those Ankens in order to keep up the pressure, not Yoruichi, sorry guys, Soi Fon is even more unsafe now. So you really got to be careful now when you're throwing these Ankens out on block, because they reduced basically the active frames of the Ankins. She cannot continue guard pressure as well as she used to be able to. Now let's go over the adjustment intention. Soi Fon uses her special moves to win the match, but when she uses her special move Dark Sword, Ankin, her range of movement is wider than other characters, making it difficult to exploit her weakness. In this adjustment, we have increased the recovery time of her special move refill so that it will need to be more careful with timing. In addition, we have corrected the recovery time of some actions when using the special move Dark Sword. So you will no longer be able to connect the combo from quick attack again. There you go. Soi Fon got nerfed. Let's go. All right, going on to the next character is Gin. So Gin actually received a myriad of buffs. Overall, he just does more damage. So anything he does, just honestly, it's crazy. They buffed his damage a pretty good amount. So all of his skills, special flash attack, everything does more damage. One of the nerfs he did receive is his SP2. So the startup of his SP2 is a bit slower. So it looks as if that you might be able to snuff him out if you are quick enough. Those situations where Gins like to use the SP2 when they feel very uncomfortable, you actually might be able to beat them out now. So I'm pretty happy that they did that because Gin can be really annoying to fight against. One cool thing is in his snake possessive state, he now is able to get more damage. So they increased basically the hitbox and the damage of his snake possession state. So if I do this, oh, wrong super, sorry guys. All right, so the next character is Nell. They made a few changes to Nell. The first one is apparently a nerf, but I don't think so. They basically increased the recovery time on her heavy. So if you do heavy, it's more easily punished. But the thing is, you don't use heavy anyway, right? You use heavy and then lights if you know, make the combo safe. So that's not really too much of a nerf, honestly. Her flash attack now does more damage when she does the Sero. So the Sero's damage has been increased. Her SP1, she can now charge her unique skill right after using SP1. I guess they wanted to basically make it so that as playing base form now, you kind of have more options in order to charge your meter because her charge is super slow in base. So they basically wanted to make it so that it was a bit easier for you to charge that up. And her SP2 does way less damage now if you use it before using any stock. So if I do something like this, right, I haven't used any stocks yet, right? So let me dash up, use the SP2. Apparently it's going to do less damage, right? That's typical Nell stuff. Now if I use 2 stocks before doing that, well, let me use 3. Orange reverse, and then I go use the Sero. It should do way more damage. I don't know. It honestly is weird because the way scaling works in this game. I don't really see how this is a nerf at all because the way that you want to use this Sero anyway, you're just not going to throw it out. Nobody just throws it out like that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's only useful like that when you're fighting giants. So maybe that's a buff for fighting against giants for the giants. But hey, in Awakening, they also reduced the recovery time of her 6 skill. So when she's charging her 6 skill, it's going to be a bit harder to hit her out of it. I'm not going to lie, y'all. I don't even know why they nerfing Nell. Nell is already insane. So I really don't understand what's up with that. But yeah, her spiritual pressure technique 1, it also has more increased damage. So honestly, across the board, Nell has just been buffed. You know, the nerfs apparently that they given her don't really feel like nerfs. And I don't know if this one is a W patch, but let's go on to the next one. Okay, so the next character is Aizen. They did a few things to make fighting this character a bit more bearable. They made it so that when he uses High-End and he uses Senjuku Tentaiho, there is more M lag. So when he's spamming those projectiles, it's going to be a bit easier to counter him. They also made it so that Hyoka Sugetsu, his special kind of like reversal that he has, doesn't activate until he has 5 flames of the special meter at the bottom. So the way it's listed here in patch notes, it says the condition required to activate Hyoka Sugetsu has been changed from 100% consumption of reverse gauge to the Hogyo fusion level is 5, consumes 100% of the reverse gauge. Not gonna lie, y'all, I don't play Aizen, so I'm not sure specifically what they're trying to say with that, but from how I'm seeing it is you need to have 5 of the flames and 100% reverse gauge and then it works. So That's also just another nerf. So honestly, Aizen has just gotten nothing but nerf so far. They continue to nerf this guy because in the cocoon form, you know, the degenerate kick he does, it is not plus on block anymore. So right here, Yoruichi is able to beat me out. So that does honestly really suck for Aizen. This is one of his bread and butter moves in cocoon form. Honestly, the best move he has. So in Aizen's awakening, they increase the amount of damage that he takes, but they also increase the amount of damage that he does. So, oh my God, what is that? Yo, Aizen is going to be hurting now, but in turn, Aizen will also be taking a lot of damage. So I think that's also a pretty good, you know, trade-off. They also buff the range of his heavy. His heavy will now reach really far distance. Honestly, that reach is honestly insane. It was already pretty good, but they just made it even better. And they also made it so that his meter at the bottom goes up faster. His Hogyoku meter, it just increases in general very fast. They did reduce how much fighting spirit he gets, so he will not be reaching reawakening like as fast as he was before. But you know, these other buffs, they seem to be pretty good in place of that. Now the buffs that they gave Butterfly Aizen are pretty insane. They made it so that his special flash attack can be spammed non-stop. They basically reduced the recovery time on it, so he can just do this. Yes, he can do this. This is annoying. He can definitely do this. He can also now combo his flash and quick attacks into his SP1, but unfortunately you cannot orange reverse your super 1 anymore, so you know that kind of sucks. His SP2, the slow effect duration that affects the opponent, has been increased. So when you hit them with Hado number 90, there is a slow effect that affects the opponent, and they have increased basically the duration of that, so they will be slowed for a longer time. Overall, let's look at the adjustment intention for Aizen Sosuke. Aizen has many unique abilities and it is difficult to use, but the more time that you spend with him, the more powerful he becomes. However, it was easy to force your own fighting style on opponents throughout the entire match. In this adjustment, by adjusting the performance at the beginning of the match, it is difficult to show his true potential in the late game if you are overwhelmed in the early game. But in return, he is more powerful than Awakened, making it easier to fight than before. The amount of fighting will required has increased, but when a reawakened, we have strengthened his spiritual pressure techniques, making him easier to use. So essentially, they have made Aizen worse early on and made him stronger later on. So if you're fighting an Aizen and he's beating you early, more than likely you're gonna have a really tough time because this character is only going to get stronger as time goes on. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so starting off with the next character, Byakuya. So his changes are actually honestly pretty good. They didn't really nerf him too bad. They just made it so that you cannot go into your flash or quick attack while you use your 6 skill. So if you're going to use 6 skill, you honestly have to commit to it by using a super or using your flash attack, your ho-ho combo, I mean. They buffed the speed and the hitbox of his quick attack. So the quick attack comes out a little bit faster and they buffed the range of it. They increased the speed up time for his dash attack. So now his dash attack comes out pretty quickly. The attack hitbox for his flash attack has also been adjusted and the reach has been extended. So now this attack was already pretty good. The heavy now covers more range and it comes out slightly more faster. They also increased the number of frames for his lightning strike. So I believe that is his Byakuya. I think what they're trying to say is that it lingers out longer, like the lingering effect of it is just out a little bit longer. But yeah, that's just the general changes that they've made for Byakuya. They also made it so that his 6 skill has increased the recovery time. So that end frame right there, like I'm gonna try and move after using 6 skill and I can't move for like a good 2 seconds. So it's easier to pressure Byakuya now when he wants to use his 6 skill. Let's go over the adjustment intention. At the start of the game, Byakuya Kuchiki uses 2 different forms, and at Awakening, he specializes in long distance attacks. But his Awakening attacks have their own quirks, making him more difficult to fight than at the start of the game. With this adjustment, we've made it easier to land basic attacks on the opponent and increased the opportunities to transition into combos. On the other hand, we've limited the techniques that can transition into combos from his unique technique, Sakura Shigure, which can attack regardless of the opponent's position. So it's now more important to use a variety of attacks to prevent the opponent from narrowing down on one target. So essentially they wanted to shift his play style from being kind of like that staying back using six skill to now Byakuya kind of wants to be in a mix. He's still a zoner because like this heavy range is still ridiculous, but they wanted to kind of bring him more in, let him fight a bit more up close and take away some of that zoning potential. But now he's stronger. He does more damage up close. So I think this is a W patch. So starting off with this next character, Komamura, they basically reduced the recovery time on all of his skills. So now you're able to do something like 6 skill into SP1. That's now comboable. Your 6 skill now lets you block faster, and he also blocks faster after throwing it out. So this I'm not gonna lie, this is actually really good change because now Komamura can really deal with some of those characters that like to stay out of his range. They also added a minimum guaranteed damage. So from what I'm reading and what that means is the skill will now always do a certain amount of damage. Like no matter where it's being done during the combo, it's going to always make sure that it hits that certain amount. So I think that's pretty good for him. One nerf this character did receive is his special flash attack no longer combos. So if I hit Yoruichi here and she tries to hit me with a strike back, it knocks them up in the air now. So I'm not gonna lie, it's really bad. I don't know why they would do that. I felt like this move already was pretty whatever. So this means that even when you're countering breakers, you still can't even get a combo off. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can orange reverse it, but like who wants to do that? Honestly, not that good. That right there is, I'm not sure if I like that nerf, but hey, it is what it is. They also made it so that his spiritual technique 1, his arm, he gets basically faster frame, so it comes out faster, and the super armor is active quicker. So there are times where you can still snuff Komamura out with this ability, and now that's probably not going to be able to happen anymore. They only made one change for Komamura in his awakening, and it is his signature skill, just the regular just pressing it version. What they did to it is they just expanded the hitbox. So I think there was times where you couldn't see it. I don't know where Yoruichi went. Oh, she's all the way in the corner. Yeah, so basically it was times where this wouldn't hit at full screen. Now it does. So there, you know, you might want to start just throwing out your unique skill as Komamura now. All right, so let's go over his adjustment intention. So Komamura Sajin is good at powerful fighting using various unique techniques, but his movements were heavy and it was difficult to go on the offense. In this adjustment, various unique techniques have been strengthened, making it easier to use powerful actions using Tenken. In addition, various unique techniques can be canceled with one spiritual pressure technique, making it easier to extend combos. So they really just wanted to make it so that his combos can come out a bit easier. He also just has a really good like neutral tool in his 6 skill. Well, not in the weakened state here, but in his base form, like that tool is so great now because he doesn't have to be scared to charge it up. He won't be punished as much for throwing it out. So honestly, W patch. All right, so going on to the next character, Shunsui. Honestly, guys, Shunsui honestly really probably got the biggest buffs in this patch. He is insane now. So one of the biggest changes that they made is that his special flash attack, it pushes the opponent back now. So it leaves them at the perfect distance for you to throw a heavy out or even for you to throw your lights out, since your normals are just very good, right? They also just generally increase the damage that he does. They just increase his damage multiplier in general. They increase the damage of his SP1. His SP1 can now be canceled mid combo. So now you can do stuff like this, right? And this is a true block string. So if you have someone whose guard is down, this is they're cooked. Like you can actually do that over and over and it's safe. Honestly, it's insane. And when you do hit it, you can actually combo into it. So you can do like hit into it. Oh, the tag knocked them away, but you could even like grab, hit. You can do a lot with Shunsui now. Honestly, they buffed this character so much. Gonna definitely be a big winner of the patch. And that's not even the end of it. So now his games have also been buffed. So his first game, increased damage dealt with outside base capture range. So I believe this is the game they're referring to. I believe inside of this area, you're going to be doing, I outside of this area, you're going to be doing more damage. Inside of this area, your morale will be going up more. So I'm assuming they mean fighting spirit, because I'm not sure what else they would mean by that. For the tag game, they increased the damage required to reach basically the end of the tag, where like it pops before you want it to. They've increased that amount, so I'm not sure how that's really going to affect his gameplay, but I can see it being like, I can see it working for you in certain situations. They also made it so that his spiritual power gain when winning a speed contest is increased. So whoever wins the actual speed contest is going to benefit a lot from it. They also made this change too. So his special flash attack can be canceled midway through. So as you can see, as I'm literally halfway through the jump, I can jump back. And because they made it so that it's safe on hitting an opponent, it pushes them back. Even if you do happen to mess up and you didn't mean to actually go through with it, it pushes the opponent back far enough where you're honestly safe. So Shunsui, honestly, they cooked with his changes. I think he is jumping up from literally being like one of the lower tier characters to being like A tier just with these changes alone. In Awakening, they also increased the damage recovery and guard recovery time for his SP1. So I really just think that means that when you're fighting with him and you have people in kind of like this vortex, they just make it a bit easier for you to keep that pressure up. And they also increase the duration of the slow effect of his SP2. Now, I'm not sure what they mean by that when they say slow effect. It might be a typo, but I never really seen a character move slower after being hit by Shunsui's SP2. I could be wrong about that, but it does say in patch notes that they increased the duration of that. And one of the best things about Shunsui is that now he can combo from his grab. So W changes all around. Shunsui has definitely become one of the top tier threats in this game. So before I go on to the next character, let me go over Shunsui's adjustment intention. So Kuraku Shunsui uses the special rules of Child's Play to develop unique battles, but the influence of Child Play was small, making it difficult to influence victory or defeat. In this adjustment, the benefit of Child Play has been increased, making it easier to gain an advantage when winning a game. Other actions have also been made easier to use, making it easier to win a game with a variety of options. So they just wanted to make Shunsui a bit easier to play. I'm not gonna lie, with all of these changes, I really think they might have even overtuned him, but we'll see as the time goes on. All right, guys, on to the next character, Tosen. Now, Tosen is one of the few characters in this patch that got straight up nerfed. His special flash attack has lost its invulnerability on it. He can only backstep off of it if he happens to hit someone with it. So whether it's a hit or like a actual hit, or it's hitting on guard, that's the only time he'll be able to backstep off of it. There's no invulnerability there. They did fix his counter. Before, it wasn't giving the meter, but now if I have Yoruichi hit me, it's going to give me a meter for using my counter. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's something that should have been there from the beginning. So it's really just them fixing a bug. They also made it so that his SP2 cannot be comboed after. So before, you used to be able to use your SP2 and then orange reverse. You cannot do this anymore. So this takes away a lot of the damage that Tosen is able to do. The only way to make this super connect with the orange reverse like you used to be able to is on counter. So you can't just orange right away. You have to attack and then orange reverse. That's the only way that you'll be able to actually get that combo off. So just be wary of that. Tosen has honestly gotten like really the short end of the stick with this patch. I understand that he was good and he did feel like his special flash attack was kind of like a BS mechanic, but they went a little too far with him in my opinion. The last change for him is when he goes Awakening. So they increased the initial area of visible range. So now the opponent will be able to see a little bit more inside of the Bankai. They also made it so that the area of range where they're blind, it increases faster. So now, as you can see, you see like the area slowly opening up. It didn't move this fast. It moved a little bit slower pre-patch. So just another nerf that this character really didn't deserve. Tosen Kaname's unique fighting style revolves around depriving the opponent of visual information with his Awakening effect. But this is an exceptional ability for a fighting game and it has a huge impact. However, this ability is the character's greatest feature. So in this adjustment, we have adjusted the visible range while retaining this individuality, making it easier for the opponent to resist to some extent. Making this ability affect the player and not the game, we intend to continue to be cautious in the future. So they need to cautiously revert some of these changes, because Tosen, he wasn't even like S tier, you know what I mean? And they went ahead and buffed the character like Nell, so kind of insane, but we'll see. So Hitsugaya is one of the biggest winners for this patch. They basically have increased the duration of his level 3 force meter. So that's crazy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like this character already was kind of A tier in my opinion, just from his damage alone, but now they've made it so that the level 3 stays around for longer. They made it so that when you are charging up your frost meter, it charges up even faster, and they increased the starter speed of his quick. So now Hitsugaya is basically, he's way better. His quicks come out faster, his frost gauge goes up faster, and even his 6th skill comes out a little bit faster, and you have more control of it. The reason why I say that is because in the patch notes it says here, reduce recovery time for 6th skill. The distance at which you can quickly search your opponent has been increased. So the translation for this patch notes is a little wonky because it's in Japanese, but I think what they're saying by that is, if you know your opponent's coming in and you press 6th skill real quick, you can kind of set them up real quick by having it like fall in under them or fall in close to you, because you can choose where the 6th skill goes. But overall, these buffs are insane. His flash strike increases the gauge faster. His special flash attack increases the gauge faster, and his 6th skill does as well. So overall, just solid buffs for Hitsugaya. They even buffed his SP1. It says it reduced the recovery time for it. So what I'm thinking that means is if I set Yoruichi to block, right, and I set her to attack as soon as she is hit, let me see. If I do it's a SP1. Oh, it's still unsafe. So I wonder what they mean by this. This is adjusted the recovery time when hit and guarded. So is this something that you can't connect anymore into level 3? Let me just double check that. Oh, so you can still do it. So I don't know what the point is of just throwing this out. Maybe they think, oh, this is just faster now. Yeah. Or maybe you can act faster off of it and maybe try to like do some type of setup. But yeah, overall, Hitsugaya is definitely a big winner for this patch. This is their reasoning for these buffs for him. So by repeatedly attacking, Toshiro Hitsugaya enters an enhanced state, allowing for more ferocious attacks. But because his reach is short, he has few useful techniques. It was difficult for him to fight in the way he likes. This adjustment makes it easier to maintain the Tenso Jurin gauge while improving his overall ease of use, making it easier to demonstrate his strengths than before. So like I said, they just really made this character a bit easier to use. I already thought he was good. Hitsugaya, honestly, low-key was good. So this is definitely going to bump him a little bit higher on the tier list. One of the bigger winners from this patch is definitely Kenpachi. Some of the things that have changed about him is basically they increased his amount of damage that he can do when he has a low amount of Kenpaku. I've set his Kenpaku at 1, and his damage, yo, is insane. Like, that is just one heavy string and you're doing half of somebody's health. I mean, ideally you would never be this low, but any kind of help matters for Kenpachi. He was one of the worst characters in the game. They also made it so that his special flash attack can be comboed in Awakening. So after you special flash attack, you can go into your lights. They've even made it so that you can combo after getting hit. As you can see, the 6th skill took those hits, and my returning hit was able to put her in like a crumble state so that I can continue a combo. They also made it so that his special flash attack, just the range in general, like it's more range. It comes out slightly more faster, and the recovery time on it is better even when it is blocked. They also made it so that his SP2, the recovery time on it is better as well. So I believe if you happen to whiff this, you aren't like standing there for as long, or even if you do hit it, you're just not standing there for as long. So that is just a really cool buff that they gave him. Overall, Kenpachi, just W changes. He has a quick attack. He has combos with his special flash attack now, and his 6th skill, yo, you could just combo off of it now, is insane. And the damage you get off of it is disgusting, yo. Look at this damage. Oh man, Kenpachi, not gonna lie, yo, Kenpachi, Shunsui, Hitsugaya, some of these characters are really eating good off of this patch. Now let's go over some of the reasons why they did this for Kenpachi. So the more injured Kenpachi Zaraki is, the more his firepower increases. He is a battle maniac who knows no bounds. However, it was difficult to create situations where he could utilize his firepower, and he was prone to struggle against characters with longer reach than himself. With this adjustment, it is now easier to move forward with his special flash attack as at the core, and it is easier to grab a chance to display his high firepower. The damage increase effect of his unique feature, Spiritual Pressure Amplification, has also been increased, so even if he starts off late, it will be easier to aim for a comeback in the final stages. So honestly, sounds good. I mean, I can see why they went this direction, and Kenpachi's is about to be a real threat, not gonna lie. So Mayuri is another character who benefits greatly from this patch. They made it so that he can combo after his grab now, so you can actually do a lot with this. You can do grab, you could even special flash attack after grab, you can heavy after grab, you can do a lot of stuff after it. So that's really cool that they gave him some more combo freedom. They also changed his SP1, so now his SP1, it does have a slightly more range, so you don't have to be right on top of your opponent, and it does come out slightly more faster. But the big change for it is you cannot detonate it. So I'm trying to detonate it remotely, but you can't. I used to be able to use this, and while someone is hitting me, I will remote detonate it while they're hitting me, and I can get my combo back, I can get my turn back. Now you can only detonate it while you're hitting them. So I'm not really sure what's the point of that, because the way I saw it is you want to use this when you're under pressure, but this doesn't, like, it's not like, oh, it knocks them back to you. So okay, so that's one way you can use it, I guess. Let's say like you throw it on them and you hit them, but you gotta wait until certain situations. So okay, so honestly, there's gonna take some labbing. There's gonna be some labbing needed for Mayuri, but I can definitely see that change to the SP1 being really good if you can actually blow them back to you and continue a combo. They increased the combo damage for Nemu. They basically changed the modifiers so that you can always do a lot of damage whenever you get Nemu. Before, honestly, you could always do a lot of damage, so they really just buffed Nemu for no reason, in my opinion. They may also made it so that your special flash attack, it does take up more poison, so your poison goes down quicker when you use certain moves like your special flash and your dash attack. But honestly, that's really the main changes. Other than that, they also increased the damage on his poison ball, so if you do happen to hit this in the neutral, it does some respectable damage now. But let's look at some of the reasons why they made this change. So although Kuretsu Mayuri is good at gradually expanding after her advantage with tech, well, it said her. So although Kuretsu Mayuri is good at gradually expanding his advantage with technical but versatile actions and additional damage from poison, but the benefit of each action from poison was small, and his individually was not fully utilized. Although there was no major changes to the actions used in the game, the consumption cost of poison has been increased to make it easier to deal damage. So it looks like they wanted to change around some of the more intricate parts of his kit when it comes to like how poison works. But overall, I do think this is a buff to Mayuri. Not being able to combo after grab was pretty crappy, so W patch. So on to the next character, Kaien Shiba. They nerfed this character, thank God. For real. They made it so that his heavy attack is less safe on hit, on block, on everything. They also made it so that his skill has more recovery time. So Kaien was able to just like attack, and then go into his 6 skill. Now there's more recovery time after that, so you should be able to punish him after that. They also made it so that when he uses his DP, right, you should be able to sidestep the DP now. Before, if you tried to sidestep it, sometimes he would still clip you. So honestly, if you feel like a Kaien is gonna go for his DP, try sidestepping it and it should work now. And the last change that they really did for this character was adjust the hitbox of his 6th skill in Awakening. They extended the reach only in Awakening, but again, the increased recovery time on hit and on guard makes it so that this move isn't really the best to be doing in the middle of strings anymore. Let's look at the adjustment intentions for the reasons why they did this. So Shiba Kaien is a standard type character with few weaknesses, combo power, and invincible techniques. making him easy to fight against any character in a stable match. In this adjustment, the stiffness time of the flash attack and the unique technique Spring Water has been increased, so the risk of missing has increased. Also, when awakened, if you can guard the maximum charge of the unique technique Spring Water, you will be able to gain advantageous frames. You can shake up the opponents depending on whether or not you input a long press. So it looks as if you do the long version of his skill, that's the one that is still safe. But if you do the long version, that's the one that's super unsafe. So it's really just about choosing when you want to do what. But yeah, so far this is a W patch. So the next character is Shinji. His changes are pretty simple. They made it so that his heavy doesn't knock the enemy away too far. So that's actually pretty good for him. His problem was chasing opponents down, so now that's not really too much of an issue. They did nerf his Hiyori move. So Hiyori doesn't leave the enemy stunned for as long as she used to, but they did buff the damage of his SP2. So his SP2 does even more damage than it did before, so that's pretty insane. And they also adjusted the attack judgment of Hiyori to extend the reach. So this is only an awakening, it says. I guess she goes further. I'm not really sure what they mean by that, but let's look at the adjustment intent. Shinji Hirako has many entanglement techniques and can be more. But let's look at the. Shinji Hirako has many entanglement techniques and can use more powerful actions if he hits Spiritual Pressure 2 move Sakanade. However, although he has stability, he lacked offensive moves. The adjustment adjusts the judgment of Spiritual Pressure move. It's your turn, making it easier to continue attacking after capturing an opponent once. In addition, if he is in a Sakanade release, he can also incorporate into combos from flash attack follow-up. So it looks like you can do heavy into Sakanade. No, but then, I don't know. I'll let the Shinji guys really figure this one out. Never really learned this character. W patch. So the next character is Starrk, and it looks like they changed a couple things about this character. They made it so that his flash attack, it comes out faster. They also increased the stun time of his the second hit of his flash attack. For his special flash attack, the no charge version, they just increased the damage and how much damage he does to guards with it. And the charge version now can be dashed up and you can continue a combo. So I didn't have enough meter there, but if you do the charge version here, you can now dash up and do anything you want, honestly. So it's pretty cool that they have that there. His signature move, they made it so that he acquires Spiritual Pressure way faster. As you can see, I'm getting to 150 very fast here. His Spiritual Pressure move 2, it says they increased the dark screen time. I'm assuming they mean that they basically change how long he can be in this state. It doesn't go down as fast. I need Starrk mains to confirm or deconfirm this for me because I don't play this character, but it does seem as though it's going down kind of fast, but I don't know what increased the dark screen time would mean in patch notes, but anecdotally, this looks like it's about the same speed as normal. And in Awakening, they touched on a few things. So let me show you guys. So Starrk's flash attack follow-up increases the damage done over time. So that's the one with the no wolf. It just leaves them kind of hanging out in the air for a little bit longer. I guess that gives you time to kind of dash up and set up some kind of Oki situation. Signature move with wolf. So basically when you throw the wolf out, it reduces the stun time, but now it does more damage. So this is really good in my opinion because the wolves honestly really weren't worth using for damage. They just didn't do much damage at all. It says signature move during combo. It changes the damage behavior. So I'm a little confused because I'm trying to use his spiritual move, his signature move during the combo, and nothing is happening. Oh, okay. So he sends the dog out. It looks like you even may be able to continue a combo as well. Wow, that's crazy. So wow, so Starrk actually has some sauce him I didn't even know about. But yeah, so that move is step cancelable now. So if I do the combo with the signature skill, I should be able to step forward and combo right after. I'm trying to do it, but it's not coming out. Yeah, you probably just gotta mash X as fast as possible there. But that's something that you're able to do now. It also has the increased minimum guaranteed damage. So it looks like no matter what, how long you've been scaling in combos, that that signature combo is going to still do a certain amount of damage no matter what. They also made his Kikon move 1 do 6 Kenpaku instead of 5. So now Starrk is a 6 Kenpaku character. Definitely one of the biggest winners in this patch, and I'm looking forward to seeing people actually use this character, because the way you would have to play Starrk before wasn't really fun to play against, and I think this is now peak gameplay. All right, so going on to the next character is Halibel. So they nerfed Halibel, thank God. She was annoying to fight, insane guard pressure, but basically what they've done to her is decrease the acquisition amount of her guard gauge for her flash attack. So now the gauge that's above her special meter doesn't go up as fast. They honestly needed to hit that, and it goes down very fast now as well. So with Halibel, you need to be very aggressive in order to keep that guard up. They also made it so that her special flash attack, it decreases the amount of guard damage that it does on block. The signature move, it decreased the guard crush amount as well. So no matter which one that you use, whether it's the heavy, the light, or whatever, it does do less guard damage. They adjusted the combo scaling to make it difficult to extend combos. So you usually be able to do heavy into SP1, and then you can continue the combo. They just made that restriction a little bit more tighter. You have to really time it a bit better in order to hit it, especially like later, you know, with base version of Halibel. They decreased the damage output for SP2. SP2 was doing insane amounts of damage, so I'm glad that they took that down. And they also made it so that you can't reverse action this. Apparently you used to be able to reverse action it, which is really broken. But yeah, in normal state, her special flash attack increased the acquisition amount of guard gauge. So her tilt attack, tilt triangle, will now build gauge very quickly. It's really what you want to do if you want to build your gauge up, but again, it goes down pretty quickly. So you just have to be a bit careful with Halibel now. You can't stay back, honestly. You really always want to be aggressive with this character. Now in Awakening, she does change slightly. So let me get her into Awakening. It says here that her special flash attack in Awakening decreases the acquisition amount of aura gauge. So it looks like in normal state, her acquisition is higher, but in Awakening, the acquisition is lower. Wow, it really is. So they nerfed Awakened. Wow, so they nerfed Awakened Halibel, but base is stronger. Okay, got it. At least you want to build up your meter in base and then go Awaken and try to keep pressure up. Got it. They also increased the acquisition amount of aura gauge for her SP1. Got it. Okay, so if you really want to build meter up with Halibel, they're forcing you to use resources now instead of using your special flash attack. Got it. I'm liking some of these changes that they went through with. So the changes they made for Ulquiorra are honestly quite interesting. They made it so that it's easy for him to reach his segunda etapa. So for him to get to Kikon channel, which is sublimation, and for him to get Awakening, they've essentially reduced the amount of fighting spirit that it takes. So this character will likely start getting to reawakening way faster than what you're used to. They did nerf a couple of things though. So they nerfed his dash quick. His dash quick, they decreased the duration of it. So the active frames of it is not out as much. So there will be times you throw out this move and it'll still hit and it looks like the attack should have been finished. They've decreased the duration also in the in his first resurrection for his dash attack, but they increased the duration of it in his reawakening. So honestly, he can't really like dash around and throw out these quicks. It's still a good move, but it's not as good as it used to be. So, you know, just still be wary of it, because it's still one of the best dash attacks in the game. But just understand, if you're playing Ulquiorra or if you're playing against him, they did nerf this move, so you don't have to be as scared of it. One cool thing that they did do though is that they reduced the amount of health that you take from using your serum in Awakening 1 and Awakening 2. So as Ulquiorra gets stronger, he's not as punished for using his serum. So that's honestly a W change. And then in Reawakening, it goes down even more. So it's crazy. I mean, like he has one of the best projectiles in the game, and they're really giving him no downside to using it. Is honestly insane. But yeah, that's the changes for Awakening and normal state. So also in his reawakening, his follow-up Ho-Ho, it says adjusted so that rebirth actions cannot be used until end of the action. I think what was happening is you could do something like this, follow up in reverse action. I didn't know you can do that. Apparently you could, but they've taken that out the game. And yeah, honestly, W changes for Ulquiorra. He was very good. I do like the fact that they're buffing and nerfing some of these characters, but then you look at a character like Tosen, who really got the short end of the stick. So okay, so going on to the next character is Nnotria Gilga. They touched a couple things on this character, but what it really seems to be is that they made it so that his hero comes out faster. He's able to just activate this super armor way faster. It can also now be canceled from quick attack. So I believe if you do heavy, you can then go straight into hero, and it'll that's actually really good, because before hero used to kind of take a while to get off. It was kind of risky at times depending on how far you are from your opponent. So the fact that you can actually go into this after using one of your attacks is really good. And they also increased the slow effect of his SP2. Now, I don't know what this means when they keep saying slow effect. It might be the fact that some characters, yeah, it looks like Yoruichi got up actually really slow. Maybe they mean that it causes them to get up slow, so now you can actually dash up to them and create some kind of pressure. So that must be something that they're talking about when they say by slow effect. But the rest of his changes came in Awakening. So Nnotria in Awakening gained a couple things. Increase the damage amount of each of his actions when the 6 arms are activated. So when you get Nnotria down to 4 stocks or below, he gets his 6 arms and he starts to do way more damage. It looks as if they just generally increased how much damage he does when he's down there. They made his quick attack come out faster in general. So now, you know, in those scramble situations with Nnotria, you do have to be a bit careful of him throwing out his quick, because his quicks are very good. And his flash attack, basically the follow-up of it, they shorten the blowaway distance. So now you're not as far anymore when Nnotria decides to hit you with his heavy. You're still within that range where he can like dash in and do like a special flash attack. He's basically keeping you closer to him so you can keep up that pressure. For this SP1, they adjusted the attack judgment to extend the reach. So the way I'm reading that is they basically made it so that the SP1 just generally comes out faster, and SP2 is something similar. Both of these supers also work too while you have your hero active, so that's just something really cool to kind of keep in mind with Nnotria. W changes, not gonna lie. Now we are on to one of the biggest losers of the patch. Grimmjow honestly kind of got the short end of the stick, just like Tosen. They've basically made it so that he can charge his meter faster, right? And when he's taking damage, the meter also gets charged way faster. As you can see, this was not going up as fast as this is right now. But the trade-off is that his special flash attack now does not combo, even when he's in annihilation state. So if I go into annihilation state, this would usually combo. You would be able to do the quick attacks right after. They took that away from him. They felt as if it was too strong, like his game plan just basically really revolved around this, and it made him too strong. The good thing is in decimation state he can still combo that, so that is good, but taking away the special flash attack comboing really cuts this character, in my opinion. I think that this was definitely a mistake when it comes to balancing, and they should probably revert this. Out of everything in this patch, this and Tosen probably need to be reverted the most, but we'll see as time goes on and see how the character fares. They also increased the amount of damage that he takes when he is in decimation state. So just in general, you know, Grimmjow will be really doing a lot of damages to himself, and it's honestly, like, I think he's still a good character, but he needs to be played very carefully, because decimation state still makes this special flash attack great, and it does a lot of damage. He's still a great character. It's just that they made it so that he really lives and dies by his decimation state, you know. So So the final character of the balance patch is Mr. Grants, and honestly, they did a lot of things to this character to make him feel, I guess, maybe a little bit better, but also there's some things here I don't like. So for example, it is now easier for you to get to level 2. Level 2 is now way easier to reach, but they made level 3 extremely hard to reach. As you can see, I'm popping my SP2 multiple times here, and I still can't reach level 3. So getting your second revive is actually going to be pretty rough, but getting to a stronger character is going to be pretty easy. Because once Szayelaporro is level 2, he's very strong, you know. He's actually very strong, you know. So it really just depends on how you play this character. They made it so that his 6th skill actually does some respectable damage now. You can't Hakugeki after it. They made a couple things where you can't combo things after it anymore. So looking back at the patch, oh, you can now orange reverse that though. See, there you go. So they did allow him to orange reverse the 6th skill. They also increased the chance for you to get the heart if you're level 3, and they increased the effects of the organ. So each organ does a different thing. I know, for example, right, the humorous does, where is it? They're all at the bottom. So the humorous temporarily reduces enemy attack, and it takes a big chunk out of their guard gauge. The lung halves the amount of spiritual energy they have, and the Achilles tendon temporarily reduces the movement speed. So their steps, their dashes, and their normal movement. So the effects of those organs being destroyed will last longer. So they basically makes you want to use the organs more instead of doing the more guaranteed 3-piece method that most people do with Mr. Grants. Overall, they made this character just, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It is harder to get the second one, but the cool thing though, they finally fixed his special flash attack. It actually properly connects on hit now. Before, this second attack would miss. So now special flash attack is an attack that you can do from long range, and it starts a combo. So there are some of these things in this patch that really help Szayelaporro Grants, and some of them that really, you know, they don't really help at all, or we're still waiting to see how it feels. But overall, guys, that's the end of the video. I do want to say that Tamsoft and Bandai, I do tip my hat towards you guys. I've never seen a game balance so well. Like, I think overall, for the amount of characters in this game, they snap. And yeah, some people felt some kind of way that it took so long for them to reach, you know, for us to get any kind of information, or for us to kind of get any kind of patch or anything like that. But this patch is a huge W. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this patch is amazing, and I'm happy that they really took their time with this, and I look forward to see what they'll do in the future. So yeah, if you guys like the content and enjoy what you see, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.